It's late. If you're hearing my voice right now, you're awake in a world that's half asleep. Maybe you're driving down a lonely road, headlights cutting through the black. Maybe you're lying in bed, phone screen dimmed, shadows pooling in the corners of your room. Wherever you are, I want you to imagine a town, small, quiet, forgotten by most of the world, a place called Pace, Florida. Nothing much happens there. The nights are calm, the houses are close, the woods sit at the edge, like a dark thought you try not to finish. And for the longest time, Pace slept peacefully. Until the night a 14-year-old girl named Danika Troy went out into that quiet and never came back. Tonight, I'm going to tell you her story, and the story of the two teenagers' kids, really, who police say helped lead her into the dark. This is not an easy story, but you chose to stay up, so stay with me. Pace isn't the kind of town you see in movies. No bright skyline, no busy downtown, just one-story houses, church signs with changing Bible verses, gas stations that close too early, and woods that begin where the streetlights end. People there know each other. They wave. They ask how your day was, even when they don't really have time to listen. It's the kind of place where parents feel safe, letting their kids ride around on scooters after dark, as long as they're home by 10. But safety is often something you feel, not something that's guaranteed. On those streets, in one of those houses, lived Danika. At 14, she stood on that fragile bridge between childhood and whatever comes next. Old enough to argue with you, young enough to still need you to tell her when to come home. She had an electric scooter she rode around the neighborhood. She had a phone that buzzed and lit up with messages from friends, group chats, jokes, screenshots, and sometimes things that hurt. Two of the names that lit up her screen belonged to boys she knew well. Kimari Blevins, 14, and Gabriel Williams, 16. They weren't strangers. They weren't random boys from the internet. They were kids from her world, from her school, from her life, friends, supposedly. Teenage drama doesn't start with a bang. It starts with a word, a joke that lands wrong, a message read at the wrong time, as the wrong person. During Thanksgiving break, the air in Pace got colder, and so did the air between Danika and the boys. We may never know the exact message that turned everything sideways, but we know enough. There were insults, words like worthless, words like gangbanger. There was blocking and unblocking, the kind of social death that, at 14, feels like the end of the world. Maybe you remember that feeling. When someone blocks you, it doesn't just feel like an action, it feels like a sentence. To adults, it can sound petty. To kids, it can sound like war. Screens lit up in the dark, faces illuminated by cold blue light, teens lying in their beds, while emotions boiled over in group chats. Outside, the wind scraped across the siding of their houses. Inside, plans, or something that looked like plans, were beginning to form. The witness, later, would tell detectives that the boys didn't just complain, they didn't just vent, they talked about killing Danika. And the scariest part, no one outside those conversations knew. Not yet. Sunday night came and went. Danika's mother saw her around 10 p.m. Maybe there was a good night, maybe there wasn't. Real life doesn't always give us tidy scenes at some point. The house went quiet, lights went off, doors were closed. Outside, the dark pressed against the windows. Inside, everyone slept. Everyone, except the ones who were out. When morning came, something was wrong. Danika's bed looked like no one had touched it. Blanket smooth, pillow cold. Her electric scooter wasn't in its usual place. Her phone didn't light up when her mother called her name. You know that feeling, that first sick twist in your stomach when something isn't where it should be. Her mother checked the yard. Nothing. Checked with neighbors. No one had seen her. The minutes started to stretch. You can fill a house with worry faster than you can fill it with furniture. By midday, fear had taken hold. By evening, there was no comforting explanation left. That's when the report was filed. Danika Troy, missing. In a small town. Those words raced through people like a cold wave. But the wave hadn't hit yet. It was still building. Out in the woods, something else was waiting to be found. On Tuesday, a passerby stepped into the woods off a road called Kimberly Drive. Maybe they were just cutting through. Maybe they were curious. Maybe they had no reason at all. Sometimes, the worst things in life are found by people who were never meant to see them. The woods were still. No bird song, no insects, just the faint crunch of leaves underfoot and a smell that didn't belong. They saw a dark patch on the ground first, burned earth, black and uneven. Cautious steps forward, the smell of burned something, not wood, not leaves, something heavier, scattered nearby, unspent ammunition rounds, pieces of metal glinting dully in the grey light, and in the center of the charred ground, a shape, human, badly burned, no face they could recognize, no features left to soften the horror, just the outline of a body where no body should be. Somewhere close by, a black scooter with red trim lay abandoned, a shoe, small enough to belong to a young girl, matching the description of what Danika wore when she vanished. The woods had been holding a secret. Now that secret was out. The passerby called it in. Their voice probably shook. Maybe they couldn't find the right words. The deputies who arrived had seen many things, but there's something about a small, burned body in a quiet patch of forest that even experience can't harden you against. The body was taken for examination. Forensics began. The town buzzed with rumors. And by Wednesday, there was no rumor left. The charred remains in the woods belonged to 14-year-old Danika Troy. Shot multiple times, then burned. The kind of ending no parent can ever prepare for. The thing about secrets is, they don't stay buried for long, especially when teenagers are involved. Detectives moved fast, phones were checked, messages reviewed, screenshots passed along. It didn't take long for two names to rise above. The rest. KMA, HRI, Gabriel, the boys from her world, from her chats, from those small arguments that adults never quite understood. And then, a witness came forward, someone who said, "I know more than you think." They told detectives that the boys had talked about it, talked about killing Danika, talked about going into the woods, talked about shooting her maybe just once. Like that somehow made it less monstrous. You can almost imagine the conversations, the bravado, the anger, the way kids say awful things because they don't fully believe they will ever become real. Except this time, they did. According to the witness, this wasn't a moment of blind rage. It was a plan. Fragile, foolish, childish, but a plan. And it had ended exactly where they said it would. In the woods, with a gun, with a girl who would never see. Her 15th birthday. The detectives went to seek. First, his mother told them something that made every clock in the station feel a little louder. Said she caught her son sneaking back into the house around 11 p.m. on Sunday, the night Danika was last seen. That he told her he had been out smoking a cigarette, but there was no smell of smoke. It's funny, lies don't always fall apart because they're big. Sometimes they fall apart because they forget the small details. In the back of an unmarked police car, Kimari sat alone with the detectives. They read him his rights, asked him about Danika, about the last time he'd seen her, about the woods. He admitted the falling out, admitted the blocking online, but when they pressed into the details, when the questions drew close to that dark patch of earth off Kimberley Drive, he shut down, asked for a lawyer. The air in the car must have felt very small in that moment, heavy, full of the weight of things not said. He was arrested. At the station, they turned to Gabriel Williams. He told them how hurt he felt by Danika's words, how being called worthless and a gangbanger had sliced into him, more deeply than anyone knew. You don't have to excuse a monster to understand the boy inside it, but words, even cruel ones, do not justify this. Sheriff Bob Johnson would later say that Gabriel had stolen his mother's handgun, the same kind of gun that left bullets in the ground and in Danika's body. 2 boys, 1 dead girl, a town in shock, and a question hanging over everything: why? When Sheriff Johnson stepped up to speak at the press conference, the room was full, not just with reporters, but with fear. People wanted answers. They wanted a reason, something they could point to and say, "That's why. That explains it." But the sheriff couldn't give them that. He said the motive they were hearing from the boys didn't really match the evidence, didn't fit the brutality of what had happened in the woods. He called the relationship between the 3 teens a friendship, friends, supposedly 2 boys who should have been arguing about games or homework or who liked who. Instead, they were being held at a juvenile detention center, charged with first-degree premeditated murder, no bond, and somewhere in a house that now felt too big. Danika's family was trying to understand how their world had shattered overnight. Vigils started, candles flickered along sidewalks, people left stuffed animals, handwritten notes, pictures. They wrote her name in marker on posters and in pixels online. Her mother spoke with a kind of grief you can hear even when she does not cry. She said she didn't hate the boys themselves, but she hated whatever evil had led them to do this. Wanting justice doesn't mean you stop being human. It just means you want the world to make sense again in a place where it never will. Somewhere in Pace, there is a bedroom that still belongs to Danika. Her things are probably still there. A favorite hoodie tossed over a chair, a pair of shoes by the bed, a screen that will never light up again with her face. The scooter she rode was found near where her life ended. It will never carry her down those quiet streets again. In another part of town, two teenagers sit in locked rooms. Whatever they thought would happen when they made those choices, it wasn't this. They're still innocent until a court says otherwise. That's how the law works. But out here, in the real world we all have to live in, a girl is still gone, a family is still broken, a town is still scarred, and those woods, they're still there. If you walked down Kimberly Drive tonight, you could still see the trees closing in over that patch of forest. You wouldn't see the fire, you wouldn't see the bullets, you wouldn't see the body, but you might feel something, a wrongness, AHEAVINESS. Like the land itself remembered what happened. We like to tell ourselves that monsters are easy to spot, that they're grown men with cold eyes and long criminal records, but sometimes they look like kids who don't understand that death is permanent, that fire is forever, that there are some lines you can cross once and never step back over. And sometimes the real monster isn't a person, it's a moment. One terrible moment where everything that could have gone right goes wrong instead. So tonight, as you sit with this story, think about the quiet places in your own life, the unremarkable streets, the kids you think you know, the words that get thrown around like they don't matter, because sometimes the scariest thing in the world isn't what you see in the dark, it's what people do when they think no one is watching. Host softer, final, hold your loved ones close, check in, ask questions, listen to the answers. And may your town, your streets, and your woods stay quiet. Good night.